Hello, this is Kenny Williamson, and welcome back to another episode of Melchizedek Chronicles. In today's episode, we're going to be talking just a little bit more about different things to do with narcissists. Today, we're going to talk about strategies you can use against narcissists to kind of diffuse them, okay? Can diffuse and confuse them, if you will. So this not only works on narcissists, but it works on lots of people for lots of different reasons, especially self-absorbed people. But some of these little strategies we're going to go over here is mainly for narcissists, but you can take these strategies and apply them to life in general, and I think it'll have some good outcomes for you. Now, we've already discussed, like what is a narcissist? We've went over types of narcissist, biblical narcissist, mind games that narcissists play, and how to get away from a narcissist. And so this has to do with how to defend yourself basically against a narcissist. But like I said, these different strategies will work on multiple situations. And basically the biggest thing here is called indifference. So the biggest weapon you have is indifference. So the definition of indifferent is basically having no particular interest in whatever somebody's saying is indifference. Also unconcerned. So that's another one. So you're basically not concerned, you're indifferent here. So how you're going to use this indifference when you run across a narcissist or a self-absorbed person, or anybody really that this could kind of fit in a category, is you just basically don't give them any attention, what they're wanting. And what happens is lots of these people, narcissists and otherwise, is they love attention. And some of them just want to fight. And so what you can do is you can be indifferent. You can show a total lack of interest or concern about anything that they're wanting to get a response from you. So what you have to do is you have to be indifferent and very nonchalant about everything. Everything that pertains to this person, whatever they're trying to do to get to you, you just basically refuse to participate in anything they're doing just by being totally indifferent. So as we've discussed before, one of the primary traits and characteristics of a narcissist, is a person who has a very unhealthy or excessive self-interest in themselves or self-admiration. Everything is about them. Look at me. Look at what I'm doing. And of course, they will lie, cheat, and steal and do anything they can to get this attention and lie about it. Of course, we went over that. So basically, this type of prideful, self-centered mindset that they have obviously creates an obsessive longing for attention from other people. That's why they do this stuff. Okay, they have to have attention. That's what they're longing for, constant attention. So they want to be the focal point of everything. So basically, most narcissists are either they're seeking attention for themselves, or they're also seeking to get needs met, personal needs at the expense of others. So they will use you, to get what they want. And we've discussed that before. Some of them just want straight attention, but some of them want finer things in life, and they want money, or they want to take a trip. And let's say you have the means to provide that, then they can use you and pretend they love you, pretend they care about you, to be able to get you to fulfill their needs. So that's one of the things they do. Now, in order for these narcissists to maintain this, connection to you, the victim, okay, they like to do outrageous claims, say outrageous things, do things to make you think you're crazy, or like we've said before, they, talk about somebody else that's way better than you, so you feel really low, or they talk about other things to lift themselves up to make you feel really bad about yourself so they can be elevated. And so they use lots of these mental mind games. And so obviously one of the other tools they use is your emotions. So whenever they're using these mind games, they're pretending you've done something you didn't. They're lying to your face and you know it. It tends to have your emotions tend to obviously flare up, and you get angry about this and you respond. Well, these different respondings that you do, kind of keeps you going back and forth and keeps you connected. It renews like an emotional type of umbilical cord, okay, if you will, to the victim. So these emotions, constant emotions, keeps this, emotional roller coaster going all the time. So what your goal is as a victim is to break this control off of you and get rid of these emotions and try to get this narcissist to stop doing what they're doing. So one of the main things you can do to do this is indifference, is being indifferent. And basically just not caring what they're saying instead of getting into a fight or getting into some big emotional roller coaster with them. And so basically you would simply ignore them in some particular instances. We have an example of that in the Bible. Basically Jesus was dealing with some narcissists, with the Pharisees, more or less. And this particular case is found in Matthew 26:61, where basically it says, "And this fellow said, Am I able to destroy the temple of God and build it in 3 days? And the high priest arose and said unto him, Answerest thou nothing? That which is what these witnesses against thee? But Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God that thou tell us whether thou be Christ, the Son of God." And basically, Jesus ignored them and said nothing. So in this particular case, Jesus himself knew when not to speak. And it drove them crazy because he would not answer their questions. Even with threat of basically being killed, he didn't respond. And at other times when he did respond, he would respond sarcastically. So it was not the answers they were looking for. He used indifference. So in certain circumstances, when somebody is trying to get a hold of your emotions and pin you down emotionally, you can use indifference, and they are not able to figure out what you're thinking. They don't know what you're doing. They don't know what emotions you have because you're not letting them know. And that it basically foils their plans, especially when they have something they want to use against you and they're waiting for those emotions to come out, and you show complete total indifference. You're not concerned. You don't even show any interest at all. And then it foils their plans. One of the easiest ways to use indifference, okay, here's an example, is when something should make you angry, you respond calmly and don't get angry. What you have to be able to do here is have full emotional discipline. And by doing this, you do not allow whoever this person is, a narcissist or anybody trying to use you emotionally, you're not granting them access to your emotions, which limits what they can do, how they affect you. So one of the things you need to do, obviously, in this is you need to practice that. You need to practice responding calmly in situations that would normally make you react with anger and make you mad. You just have to react calmly. Okay? And of course, the Bible says this in Proverbs 15:1. It says, "A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger." So that right there tells you right there, a soft answer. So if you can control what you say and control your anger, control your words, control your tone, control your temperament, you will be able to control this situation that you're in. Because whoever has the emotions and the emotional outburst has lost control at that point. Okay. So you have to be able to control yourself at all times. Now you have to understand that these narcissists and other people in general now, especially narcissists, they are going to intentionally try to make you angry. They're going to intentionally try to infuriate you in every way they can, because they know when they lose your head, you lose your temper and your emotions run wild, there's going to give them control over your emotions. They're going to be able to control you. So you need to do the opposite. And by doing the opposite and having full control of yourself, you basically take their power away from them. You're removing their power to control you. Okay? And that's what they want to do, is they want a sense of control over you. They want superiority over you. They want to control you. They want to manipulate you. That's what they do. And of course, one of the biggies is through emotions. And anger. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to control that. Okay. And now you may be inside, you may be burning up. You may be really mad. You're livid at what they've said, but you can't let them see that. You have to just say, oh, well, just do the exact opposite. And believe me, I've been there. I understand. And it's going to be hard to do. But one of the ways these narcissists like to control you is they bring you through continuous cycles of emotions, continual cycles of drama. It's never just a steady ride, just a nice, smooth, normal, relationship with this person. It's always like a crazy, bipolar, maniac-like experience that never ends. That's what you get here. You never get anything normal. But see, this is intentional, because as long as they can keep you completely stirred up, completely keep you emotional, up and down, where you don't know where you're at emotionally or otherwise, they have full control over you at that point, and you're like a puppet on a string. And that's exactly what they want. So many different people are victims of these narcissists. They've been basically up and down emotionally like a yo-yo for possibly even years. And so the whole relationship they've had has just been up and downs, hills and valleys constantly. And you're never going to be able to get out of this yo-yo situation until you gain some control over yourself. And the moment that you can deliver basically an unexpected response, something different that this narcissist is not used to hearing, once you can come out of that, and give something indifferent to what they're saying, then you can start to regain control over the situation, over yourself. So one of these things you can do to practice this indifference, which I have personally done myself many times, is this is my favorite go-to right here, is to agree with. So indifference, and then we have to agree with them. So basically, yes, you're right. Sure. That can be your new go-to line. That's my go-to line on them. Whenever the narcissist or person wants to get a reaction out of you, obviously they want to get your emotions high. So, they'll usually start with, they'll say something ridiculous, call you names, accuse you of something. They make a stupid statement, an accusation, like I said. And then of course they're staring at you, waiting for you to come back and defend yourself. And so they can fight. The fight's on at that point. And they want to measure your frustration by how you react and how mad you get, and based on your reactions here. But, instead, if whenever they accuse you of doing something that, you haven't done any of this, it's all lies, And you just look at them and say, yeah, you're right. Sure, right. Whatever you say. I have noticed that really gets it really gets a reaction out of them. They don't like that. They don't like that at all. I mean, they'll try to continue on and say, so you're saying I'm right. You did what I said. Sure. Whatever you say, you're always right. Just whatever you say, with a big smile on your face. They hate that. One of the reasons I believe that they hate that is it seems like they always live to argue and fight. That's their main goal. They want to argue and fight to get their way or for whatever thing they're doing at that particular time. And as soon as you tell them they're right and have a smile on your face and stop arguing, well, that takes all the fun out of it for them. They lose all their momentum because you're like, you just agree with them. They don't like that. And of course, at the same time, why would you want to argue with someone they're a liar, they're lying about you to begin with, and they're never going to see your perspective. They're never going to see it from your side, and they're never going to admit the truth. They're lying. They know it. You know it. So why are you going to sit there and keep arguing? Well, they're never going to admit that they're lying. So you just have to say, yeah, you're right. I did that. And it totally diffuses the situation. So to a narcissist, it basically makes them happy. It gratifies them when you, the victim, are constantly struggling, constantly arguing to prove your point. You're constantly arguing with them to try to prove that you didn't do anything wrong. You're trying to constantly bicker back and forth for them to see your perspective so they can understand what's going on. But see, that's when they play that dumb game where they don't understand anything anymore. You could explain it to a rock and a rock would understand it, but you can't explain it to a grown person, a grown narcissist. A 40-year-old, they can't understand this stuff. They can't understand anything all of a sudden. So what's the point in even trying to explain it? They don't want to understand it. So, like I said, when they start this stuff, they start this ridiculous stuff, and you quickly agree with them and say, yeah, you're right. They get puzzled. They don't understand why you won't argue with them. See, to them, you basically just change the rules of their little game they're playing. See, because they get a lot of gratification. It's fun to them to watch you, sit there and struggle and try to explain away what's happened and prove that you're innocent, to convince them when they don't want to know the truth anyway. They're lying. That's the fun part. They're sitting watching you struggle and suffer. And now when you do the opposite and say, yeah, you're right. I did all that stuff. You're always right. Now you're not participating in their little game they're playing. They don't like that. Now, another thing that you can do is whenever these narcissists start in on you is don't rush in to answer anything, okay? Just take your sweet time and basically take long pauses before you answer any questions or accusations. And then sometimes don't answer anything at all. Just sit there and just don't even reply. Because at certain points, obviously, you've got a narcissist. They want to make accusations. They want to berate you. They want to call you names. And they probably, like I've had done to me before, they start asking you a series of questions, demanding the answers right then. Questions like, who are you talking to? Well, who are you doing this? Well, who are you this with? Who are you that? Well, what did you do here? They accuse you of cheating. They accuse you of sneaking around. They accuse you of everything in the book, probably most likely what they are doing themselves. And they ask some of the most ridiculous questions. And of course, they make ridiculous, outlandish, and disrespectful accusations to people, to you as the victim. So they will literally disrespect you, disrespect your family, the wildest accusations you've ever heard. And basically, you shouldn't even, a lot of these, you shouldn't even respond. But if you do respond, it just take a while to answer. Basically, you're making them wait on a response. They're wanting you to pop off answers as fast as they're popping off their questions. So, they don't deserve the answer because they're liars anyway, and they're making all this stuff up. So just make them wait. And, and if you do answer, of course, me personally, I wouldn't even answer. One of my favorite go-to lines is, I don't recall. So whenever I have somebody answering or asking me these outlandish, ridiculous questions, I just answer. I say, I don't recall. You're right. I don't recall. That's my favorite ones I like myself. Now, the Bible says in Proverbs 29:11, it says, a fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards. So when they start in on you and you just start popping answers back and you basically speak your whole entire mind, you're telling them everything they want to know. And, of course you haven't done anything wrong, but you can't trust this person. Okay. And so you're just telling them everything and you can't trust the person. Basically what you're doing is you're giving them more ammunition to shoot you with later. Okay. You're basically giving them access to control you in the future by just rambling on and telling them everything. And, they're only asking you these questions because they want to gather information, and this information that they get after they gather it, they're going to use it to control you with. They're going to use it to make you miserable or possibly try to drive you insane, to try to make you think you're crazy, which they do that as well. I've had that happen to me as well. We'll go over that next. So I always say, of course you could say, I'm not sure, or I don't know. I mean, if you don't want to answer the questions or their accusations, I personally use, I don't recall. Now, like I was saying just a second ago, is like a narcissist will do things to make you think that you're crazy. And I know that sounds crazy, and somebody listening to this that has not experienced this, they may be like, oh, that sounds crazy. But I'm telling you, I have lived it, I have read it, and I've talked to people that have experienced it. Okay. And a narcissist will do things to make you think that you are losing your mind. They will set things up, move things around, lie about things, have people send you messages, and they'll say, I told you this, when they didn't. And they will swear up and down they've done something or told you something, or that you did something, or that you told them something. And I mean, they will swear up and down, even though you didn't do it. And they do this so often at times, you begin to wonder if maybe you're losing your mind. You're like, well, maybe I forgot this stuff. And that's why I've said in a previous podcast is when this stuff starts happening, you should write it down. Write it down or record certain things that have happened at certain times, especially these outlandish, ridiculous stories and bizarrities that you hear from these narcissists. When this thing comes out, you write it down, you make a note of it somewhere, and you hide it. And then when they come back and claim it never happened, you've got it written down. Of course, it's just you're not crazy at that point. Your mind is not slipping away from you. You know it anyway, but they try to convince you that it is. But once you're awakened to the fact that this narcissist is intentionally attempting to make you question your sanity, okay? Once you understand that what they're doing, then you can kind of play the game with it. So basically, they're trying to make you think that you're crazy. They're trying to make you question your thoughts. And of course, part of that's called gaslighting, when they tell you that you're doing something that you're not or whatever. But one of the ways to respond to gaslighting and this crazy game they play is to act like you're just not getting it. I mean, you don't play into it. For example, this is just one example. If they were to, move something, like move your car, They move your car from your garage to the street. Okay, under normal circumstances, you would probably be like, hey, who moved my car? What's my car doing out there? And then they would try to convince you that you did it. You always do that when you know that you don't. Okay, so once you're aware that these people, these narcissists, are doing stuff like that to try to make you think you're crazy, just go along with it. Just walk out there, get in it like normal, and drive away. Just act like it's always been there. Act like nothing's changed. So basically, if a narcissist is trying to drive you crazy or act like you're crazy, then just play along with them and just pretend that you've already arrived. Oh yeah, I'm crazy. Oh yeah, I must have forgot it. But they want you to think you're crazy, and they want you to get all upset about it. So just go with it. I mean, they did it. You know that they're behind this. So just go with it. Don't sit there and argue with them. That really going to throw them off right there. There's a possibility if you can play the game as good as what they play it, they may even start questioning themselves. They may be wondering whether or not they did it, which would be really funny because, they're trying to convince you're crazy. So you just pretend you're crazy, and maybe they'll start thinking that they're crazy. I don't know. Now, obviously, none of this is going to work if you don't realize that you're dealing with a narcissist. And if you don't realize you're being manipulated and played, you may not realize you're in this situation. And like I've said before, if you know you're in this situation and you continue to allow it and you continue to go on and on and on, you're no longer a victim, you're a volunteer. So at this point, you're just volunteering to let this stuff happen to you because you know it's happening and you're not doing anything to stop it. So, but once you realize this, and let's say you're trying to work on it, you haven't fully realized it or whatever, you just have to understand, you have to be smarter than the narcissist. Once you realize what they're doing, then you can try to fight back. Okay. And of course, a Bible passage we can kind of throw in here for this is Proverbs 24:7 that says, wisdom is too high for a fool. So once you start getting wise to what's going on, you have to understand that the narcissist is the fool. They're smart and they're a liar. They're an accomplished liar. And you just have to realize that. And you're going to have to do some of these things to try to get out of this narcissistic relationship. It takes a great deal of work to escape a narcissistic relationship. So in my opinion, one of the only ways you can do this is to up your levels of wisdom. You're going to have to be smarter than they are. When you're smarter than they are and you understand what's happening, you can see what they're doing. You're able to, kind of thwart their diabolical schemes and their plots and their little acts of revenge and their little lies. You're going to be able to kind of see what's going on. And so I think that's where the indifference comes in. It makes you more uninteresting to a narcissist. And of course, that's a blessing because you do not want to have narcissists interested in you. Because you get a narcissist interested in you, you might never get them away from you. So if you do exactly opposite of what a narcissist expects, and you don't supply them with their needs and whatever it is they're wanting, they start to lose interest. They'll probably move on, maybe, hopefully. Hopefully they'll move on and just let them go. If they run off and move on, then that's nothing but a blessing to you because you don't have to try to figure out ways to get rid of them. So basically, I think that's all I have on this one. Just to sum it all up, just be slow to anger. Just do not get angry over things. Let it go. Be indifferent. Do not let people get your blood pressure up really high like that. If they're going to sit there and argue with you and accuse them, or they want to accuse you of something, just say, yeah, you're right. You're right. And walk away. They hate that. They can't keep you going if you agree with them. So if you start to get angry, just agree with them and say, yeah, you're right, and walk away. And then if they ask you questions that they're just trying to bait you into a trap, just say, I don't recall. I don't know. I don't remember any of that stuff. I just don't recall it. And you do that, and you practice indifference with narcissists or anybody trying to get you worked up or fired from your job or whatever it is they're trying to do. You practice that. I think it'll help you in a lot of situations. Obviously, every situation is different, and you're going to have to judge that for yourself. And of course, keep in mind, I'm not giving you any advice to go out and do anything weird or anything like that. Like I said before, I'm not a counselor. I'm a student of the Bible. So I'm just trying to get things out there to help people to think. And I just don't believe that anybody that gets angry quickly or that, blows up or tells anybody their life story or tells anybody information that they shouldn't be giving out, period, especially to a narcissist, somebody who wants to use it to hurt you. I just don't think that's bad advice. I think that's really good advice. So I hope it helped you. If it has, please let me know. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, give us an email at truthseekers2012@gmail.com. You can check out our website, which is kennywilliamson.com. You can go on there and become a member of the 777 Club if you'd like, and there's some perks that are going to come along with that. That information is on the website. So thanks again for listening, and like I said, I sure hope this helps you, and God bless you.